Good morning. My name is Diana Maiden, and I am happily serving as your worship leader today. One thing I love about this congregation is that we persistently, actively, intentionally search for meaning and connection in our lives and in this gathering place. So welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. I want to take a moment to extend a very warm welcome to everyone who's visiting for the first time. If you are joining us online, please fill out a visitor form in the link in the description. We would love to connect with you. Part of our mission is to connect bravely, and we're glad to share that you're sharing part of your Sunday here all together with us. Many of us, too, were once seeking for something larger than ourselves to which we could bring a sense of rootedness to hold us as we create meaning together. We do that well here, though not perfectly. In this congregation, we strive not for perfection, but for authenticity and connection. Whether it's your first time in worship with us or your 100th time, we hope that you'll find here questions that stretch you, people to befriend you, and liberal religious values that challenge you to join us in loving boldly, living justly, and welcoming radically. I do have an announcement. If you are new or newish to UUCB, please consider coming to this month's Finding Your Way at UUCB. It's a lunch gathering today from 12 until 2 in the Emerson Room down the hall after the service. These sessions, hosted by Reverend David and our Community and Connections Manager, Scott, are an opportunity for you to learn about Unitarian Universalism, to help you find the next steps in your own spiritual journey at UUCB, and to connect more deeply with others in this congregation. Now our music director, Emily, has an announcement.
Thank you, Diana. Good morning, everyone. Gosh, aren't you beautiful? What a beautiful assembly you are. So many folks. It's just so nice to be in this space with you again, even if you're here for the very first time. Thanks. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who was able to make it to the choir kickoff retreat yesterday. It was a very hot day, but we persevered in the Sky Room. But if you were not able to be there, fear not, you have not missed the choir boat. Our first rehearsal of the year is this Thursday night at 7 p.m. in this very room, and we would love to see you, even if you've never sung in a choir before, even if you still believe that you can't exactly sing, even if you're not sure that we would want you in the choir, we want you in the choir. Let us love you. Let us share our voices with yours. Please consider joining us Thursday at 7 o'clock, or really any Thursday when you can actually just make it and be with us. We would love to sing with you.
What a great invitation. Thank you, Emily. The chalice is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition. It is a cup of life, sustenance to quench our spirit's thirsts, and a cup of celebration and resolve, and a flame of hope, a light to warm our souls and guide us home. I'd like to invite Mary Clough to light this morning's chalice.
Good morning. I'm Mary Clough. I have volunteered at this church for 22 plus years, and so I've had a lot of positions here. And the primary reason that I volunteer, as I reflect, is that it's where I've made friends. It's where I've deepened my connection to this community. And working with others, I really enjoy. Working by myself is not so much fun for me. So for the past few years, I've been volunteering in the religious education program, primarily because I love to be with kids. And working with Rachel is such a bonus. She is amazing. I also volunteer as a member of the choir, and Dr. Emily is totally amazing. And I'm in the choir because it also is very much fun. It is so connecting, and I consider it a spiritual practice to sing. Both just when we're in rehearsal, I feel the connection, and boy, when we're in front of you and you're a part of the energy, it just feels great. So please do join us. Starting this year, I'm also volunteering on the Capital Campaign Team. It's part of our overall building project. And the Capital Campaign Team is responsible for raising the funds. And why, might you ask, would I want to do that? Well, I'm not a person who actually enjoys asking for money. I'd much rather write the check or push the contribute button. But if we're going to improve this building, we need people who are willing, that would be me, and comfortable. I'm pretty comfortable asking for money. And so that's why I've joined the Capital Campaign Team. So we're not ready to ask for money yet. And it's really going to be quite a while because we have many months of preliminary work, this team. You're going to see a lot of the building design team working with all of us and the architect as we design and figure out what it is we want to do. But rest assured, the Capital Campaign Team is busy planning, and we are excited to be a part of this work. And we will, which will lead to the improvement of this building. And a quick plug, if you want to join our team, let us know. We currently meet twice monthly on Zoom, so it's not a huge investment. I light our chalice this morning with gratitude for all of us as we embark on this exciting building project together. Do I need to do a match?
I can do it. Here, you hold the ceremonial.
Oh, I'll pretend.
Yes. Oops. I'll get it.
Only Unitarians is the state.
Come on up, Henry.
Henry, shh.
It came from here. Woo.
Did I tell you she's awesome? Oh, you have.
We are a promise-making, promise-breaking, and a promise-remaking people. We are called not to be perfect, but to be faithful. In that spirit, each week, we speak our covenant aloud, all together. It is a reminder of the promises we make in this gathered community. In person and online, will you join as one and say our covenant together? We gather in fellowship to speak truth to each other, to reach out and touch one another, to care with each other, and to seek the truth divine. So be it.
I found it in a vaulted Gothic church basement that was like the set of a movie, where there were shelves taller than me that overflowed with boxes holding every scrap of anything that this church had saved for a century. There were receipts from the 1950s and meeting minutes from the 60s. There were attendance tallies from the 40s and commemorative plates from the 70s. There were used furniture, and there were spare fuses to things that no longer existed. In one of these boxes, I found it, a pamphlet, this little pamphlet, 3 by 6, folded in half, printed in deep, crisp red on white paper, the sort of clear, direct design that you get out of a brochure printed in 1943. Printed then by the American Unitarian Association, the predecessor to our current denomination. It was titled, "What I Expect of My Church," which 80 years ago, and maybe still now, is the inversion of the message of many denominations. What I expect of my church, a laywoman speaks, which 80 years ago, and maybe still today, is the opposite of who gets to do the talking in a lot of churches. Virginia Frederick McGill, this wonderfully old Unitarian sort of name, New Englandy sort of name. Virginia Frederick McGill writes this in old-fashioned language that all these years later still points to what so many of us want out of our church. She says, "I want to belong to a church which is not content to be a coaster or a glider or a stand-putter," which is not a word I have heard in any other context, but I get it. She says, "I want my church to be one in which I can feel complete pride, one for which I shall not have to apologize in any way. And so I want my church to work on and on until its organization, its policies, its program, so that it's a living example of the dynamic, democratic faith it preaches. I want my church to be a force in the community. Therefore, I want it to make a study of the community needs and then build its program, setting as its goals leadership where new service is vital, and active cooperation with agencies doing work of which it approves, and open opposition to forces of evil and selfishness. I want my church to teach in the church and in the Sunday school and to emphasize throughout its programs the following benefits and attitudes." And I love this wonderfully. This is not the language that we still use to say these things, I don't think. But I love the directness. She says, "I wanted to teach the self-development in skill and character. That self-development is our obligation to the world throughout our life, and that in unselfish, intelligent leadership and cooperation are the highest goals." She says, "I wanted to teach that the truth is not static, and that, therefore, beliefs and attitudes should be remodeled as new light comes. I wanted to teach that the most important task and duty with which this faith challenges its members is that of working out their own individual philosophies of life. That a religion serves a person truly only when we work out continually our own personal ideas and ideals until they produce at all stages of life a philosophy compelling enough to make continual development and service essential to our happiness." She says at last, knowingly, "Perhaps you will say, I want a tremendous lot from my church." I do. I want my church to pull me a little, to push me when I lag behind occasionally, when the obstacles are too great, but most of the time, I want it to teach me to climb all by myself and even be able to do a little pulling. And with the beauty of its service, the vitality of its teaching, and the inspiration of its example to keep me dreaming dreams I never can forget and show me stars I never saw before. From time to time, people come to me and say things like, I'm the only one of my friends who goes to church, and I don't know how to explain to them that it's not weird. I have trouble explaining, I go to church, but not like that. I go to church, but a church that says everyone counts and everyone matters and actually means it. A community which does not require that in order to be worthy, I have to believe things that seem clearly impossible or wrong to my lived experience. I'm part of, I co-create a community that I don't have to explain away how it conflicts with my values, where I don't have to mask or hide some essential part of who I really am or what I am about. I'm part of a tradition that doesn't give me all the answers, but helps me ask better questions and stay grounded in those values I believe most fiercely, which are also the easiest to forget. Part of a tradition that cares about the world and what it can become and says our work is to bend the arc of history toward justice. These are difficult things to say to your friend over a cup of coffee, explaining how church works. This tradition doesn't ask us to believe in things we can't, but to believe in the things we can, in hope, in growth, in connection and community, in an unseen and interdependent web of life. And whatever winding road has brought you to this moment, and wherever the road ahead leads, here we are together. And will you rise in body or in spirit to sing it?
We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place. There is a place I love to call my own. There is a peace I only feel in sharing it with you and helping you share too. It makes the welcome real. Singing alone, it lets my heart shine through. But there is a music in your soul that joins its voice with mine. It's only then we find the kind of peace we know that's true. We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding roads that brought us to this place. Even a word that left me bruised before, even a name I'd learned to fear, is welcome in this place. It helps me see the face of God to greet my neighbors here. We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding roads that brought us to this place.
in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding roads that brought us to this place. And we're grateful for the winding roads that brought us to this place.
In prayer and meditation, there's a kind of a listening, there's a quality of attention that we try to be intentional about. And maybe for you, that's about listening to something beyond you, and maybe something within you, and maybe something that moves among us. It's a kind of listening that isn't exactly for words or messages. We're not listening for a voice that instructs us on exactly what to do. It's a kind of listening. It's a kind of listening to your whole self, to everything that's going on inside you and among you and beyond you. Sometimes I think the invitation, will you join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation? It's like that moment when you open a compass and the needle sort of swings back and forth wildly, settling itself back down again to finding the pole. Our words for meditation are by John O'Donohue, this called For the Traveler. Every time you leave home, another road takes you into a world you were never in. New strangers on other paths await. New places that have never seen you will startle a little at your entry. Old places that you know well will pretend nothing has changed since your last visit. When you travel, you find yourself alone in a different way, more attentive to the self you bring along, your more subtle eye watching you abroad, and how what meets you touches that part of the heart that lies at home. How you unexpectedly attune to the timbre in some voice opening in conversation. When you travel, a new silence goes with you, and if you listen, you will hear what your heart would love to say. A journey can become a sacred thing. Make sure, before you go, to take the time to bless your going forth, to free your heart of ballast, so that the compass of your soul might direct you toward the territories of spirit where you'll discover more of your hidden life and the urgencies that deserve to claim you. May you travel in an awakened way, gathered wisely into your inner ground, that you might not waste the invitations which wait to transform you along the way. May you travel safely, arrive refreshed, and live to the fullest, free to balance the gift of days which call you. We'll be together in silence for a few moments. None of us are alone, but it doesn't always feel that way. There's a thread which weaves through this gathered community, even if you don't know a person in this room. A thread which is a fiber of compassion that comes from knowing and holding and transforming suffering. And it ties us together as one, this filament connecting every heart breaking with joy and breaking with sorrow. And each week in the service, we set aside time in ritual to make that visible, to build a landscape of our inner worlds, the unseen interconnections of our hopes and sorrows. And in a few moments when the music begins, for you gathered in person, I invite you, come forward as you feel moved, starting with the back half of the room, then the front. And as you wait, as you come forward, let your thinking quiet and your breath steady, and call to mind the sorrows and the joys, the things that weigh you down and lift you up. And then silently take a stone in token of all of that and place it into the earth, resting in something larger than any of us, a community connected by the concern we carry. And this week, I'll place our first stone for Barb and Fred, who write, we had to say goodbye to Schaefer this week, grandson Alec's pet cat of 15 years. For all our joy and all our sadness, we hold this space in love and solidarity. Please come forward. Friends, I have one other sorrow to share this morning. And that is to say that, excuse me, I want to get this right, that Jerry Palmer, who was a longtime member, who some of you know, passed this week. And we hold him and Becky especially in the love of this community. And take a moment of silence for Jerry. Amen. What is Unitarian Universalism? I'm going to leave you hanging on that question. Because after being out of the pulpit for 5 weeks, I don't remember how the service goes anymore. So y'all stew on what is Unitarian Universalism. Make a little music first.
It's like, I mean, we could skip this song, but we did practice it. So I'll just say, in thinking of music for this service, David invited me to consider, obviously, the theme, like I always do. But in regards to today's topic, not so much songs that maybe spell out every single thing that we think, maybe something that's all crammed into one very stoic sounding old-timey something. And so this beautiful song, Blessed Unrest, is written by Zoe Toby, who is a friend of a very dear friend of mine. And I just think it speaks so beautifully to the hunger, to the searching, to the yearning. So I hope you'll catch as many of the words as I can pronounce for you, because they really are stunning. I am waking up to find my world between the dying and being reborn. I see what is and I see what could be.
can't close my eyes again and go back to sleep. Fill my days with blessed unrest and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. How can I change our course? I'm just a lonely voice. Wish I could lose myself in all the noise. But if we all would rise, a generation proud with a mighty song, we could turn this world around. So fill my days with blessed unrest and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Fill my days with blessed unrest and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Ancestors all behind and before me every child, I bring the power of a long unbroken line. So when our time is through, I want to know, did what we came to do for the future ones. So in our darkest days, may we all be strong and give our lives so life may go on. Fill my days with blessed unrest and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel. Fill my days with blessed unrest and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Fill my days with blessed unrest and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. Fill my days with blessed unrest and my nights with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide.
Now I don't need to preach the sermon. You just got preached. All right, what is Unitarian Universalism? Besides a very long name, besides the name of two historically progressive Christian denominations, the Unitarians and the Universalists, who merged. But what is it? This is a community of practice where we gather to grow our souls, though we understand that word in lots of different ways, and to heal the world, though we understand that work in lots of different ways. That's it. It's a community of practicing people, a community of practice where we gather to grow our souls and to heal the world. And I am so tempted to invite you to stand and sing the hymn, and then we'll be done. But I got to unpack it more. Christian denominations often distinguish one from another by their theologies. What do they believe about God or Jesus or the Bible or how they're organized? But for Unitarian Universalists, there is not a list of things that we all think or do the same way. We don't have a creed or a dogma that we're all supposed to believe the same. Instead, we are united by shared values and a shared journey of personal and spiritual growth and a shared commitment to do good in the world and a shared community, because we can't do it all alone. Maybe one way to say that is we share a belief, or try this on anyways, we share a belief that part of the purpose of religious life, of spiritual journey, is to become a person among persons, to become fully human and treat everyone else like that's true too. It's maybe not a theology as much as a style or a way of being, an approach to living. Historically rooted in progressive Christianity, and today largely post-Christian, our heritage, the through line, the thread we've followed for centuries now, is freedom and reason and hope and courage, built on a foundation of love. Love is the power that holds us together, is at the center of our shared values. And we've articulated these shared values in different ways at different times. For many years, we talked about our 7 principles that are on the wall in the Sky Room. And our 1,000 congregations last June voted to update that language and try and put that same sense in a different way. They said, with love at the center of our shared values, we see as inseparable and interconnected pluralism and justice, transformation and interdependence, generosity and equity. This is a lot of words. I worry always in trying to explain what Unitarian Universalism is. The person who's come here for the very first time today and is now less clear than when we started. Rachel told me the other day, after spending almost 2 years in this community, she says, Unitarian Universalism is much easier to explain after you've done it for a while. Let me take another swing at this. Another way to describe the style, the approach, is to say that we are an agnostic, pragmatic, transcendent, hopeful community. We're agnostic in the sense that none of us has the whole truth. No one of us has figured it all out. It doesn't mean that we have no idea about anything. We have a lot of very definite ideas about a very large number of things, but there's a certain humility. To be agnostic, I mean, in a religious sense, means you're pretty sure that you have not solved the whole problem of existence. You're pretty sure there is not one clear solution that ties the whole thing up for everybody. If you've ever seen a bumper sticker that says, God said it, I believe it, that settles it, and you thought to yourself, that's agnostic. None of us has the whole truth. Our Universalist ancestors liked the metaphor of truth being like the sun shining through this immense stained glass window, and we're on this side of the thing about 2 inches away from it. And all we see is our little patch of glass, whatever that is. And there's no point in arguing over who's got the whole final picture. There's no point in saying, here's exactly what's on the other side of this. None of us have that whole picture. But we don't have to all have an identical theology to share a commitment to the same values. And that does not mean your theology is not important. But as a community, we do this strange thing of deliberately embracing and celebrating a plurality of theologies. Not singular. God said it, I believe it, that settles it. But plural. A whole lot of people said a whole lot of things. And with compassion and reason and my own lived experience, each of us has to work to figure out what that means for you and then to keep living into it. Does not fit on a bumper sticker, but describes what it is we're about. We're agnostic about this ultimate truth for everyone, but also pragmatic in the sense that we care a great deal about this world that we live in. One Unitarian minister says the test of religion, the real test of religion, the thing that you're looking at to measure, is its effect on the people that it nurtures and the society in which it lives. For a few centuries now, our ancestors and us today, we said, you know what a person's religion is, not by the list of bullet points that they give you, but by what they do with their life. Not by the theology that they talk about, not by something going on inside their heads, but what they give their time and money and attention and focus and their whole living to. Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of our Unitarian ancestors, says what a person worships is what a person is becoming. So you be real careful about what you choose to worship. This is a pragmatic tradition in that sense. We care about what we are becoming here and now. We're not about getting people into heaven, but about getting heaven into people. That fits on a bumper sticker. But what that means really is that it's not just justice as an abstract value that we're committed to. We want to actually make it happen, to make that real, embodied, extant in the world. And look, some of us believe and are pretty reasonably sure that life continues on after death, and some of us are pretty reasonably sure it doesn't, but all of us believe that this life matters, that this thing we're doing here within and among each other, that this matters, that our work is to treat each other, not just the people in this room, but the whole world, like we're real, like we are people among people. And there's a kind of, not even just pragmatism to it, but an ordinariness to that. A way that this is a very mundane religion that I really like. That it's not just about something that's off and far and away. It's not just about, let's go experience the holy set apart from life. But that our values, our spirituality, our commitment is woven in, happens inside of ordinary time too. For many of us, there's not a separation exactly between the ordinary and the transcendent. But the transcendent is there. We've had or will have experiences of transcending mystery and wonder that don't make sense exactly. These transcendent experiences that we don't try to find consensus among ourselves on exactly what are the mechanics of what's this thing that's happening, but we have these experiences that once felt, once glimpsed in the natural world, in deep conversation, maybe in prayer or meditation, maybe in a moment of music, once glimpsed, once experienced, transform us. When we say that we honor the interdependent web of all existence, sometimes that's a thing that we sort of think our way into, but sometimes that's a thing that happens to us. It's not chosen, it's felt. And once you know in your bones the belovedness of each person, once you've had that experience, your hope and prayer becomes what Emily sang to us. Fill my days with blessed unrest, and my night with dreams of justice. Make me a vessel for the turning of the tide. The transcendent and the mundane go hand in hand. Because you get to bring, you should bring, you're supposed to bring your whole lived experience into this journey together. In this house, you get to be all of who you are and discover that too. And that's not just about all like the good, bright, positive. In this house, you get to be hopeful and despairing because those are both facts of life. You get to be uncertain sometimes and unambiguous other times. You get to be all of what it is to be a person. No part of yourself left behind. That's the work. To be who you are and to keep on growing into who you're becoming. And in that sense, It's not a tradition that's pessimistic or optimistic. It doesn't think, we don't think things are all going to be fine for all of us, or they're all going to go badly. This is a hopeful tradition. It says the plausible is possible. It says the way things are is not the way they have to be. Not for the world, not for ourselves. Injustice is not inevitable. Pain is not the whole story. Grief is not the final period. This is not a tradition for only when things are good and we are well. This is a tradition that says despair is real, dark nights happen, suffering exists unanswered without reason or justification, and that all of that, every bit of that, is what it is to be a person in the world. None of that gets shut out. You're not supposed to leave some part of the experience of being human outside of these walls. All of that comes in, and it's hard work being a person. And it matters how we are to each other and to ourselves along the way. We say sometimes you're beloved exactly as you are, unconditionally. And you've got some work to do, because of course, we all do. How would your days, how would your heart change if you told yourself and really believed, I am beloved exactly as I am, and so is everyone else? That you're worthy of love, not bad or broken, not too much, not enough, that you are beloved exactly as you are, human and hurting and hoping, and there's nothing that you have to do to earn that. We are an agnostic, pragmatic, transcendent, hopeful community. From time to time, people tell me things like, I'm the only one of my friends who goes to church, and I don't know how to explain this place isn't weird. To say I go to a church that says everyone counts and matters and actually means it, and then invites us to spend the rest of our life working out what demand that places on each and all of us. A community that doesn't require me to believe things that seem clearly wrong or impossible, that doesn't require me to leave some part of myself or experience outside, but welcomes it all in, every bit of it. My friend and colleague, Reverend Mark Morrison Reed, writes, the central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. And once felt, it inspires us to act. It assures us that we're not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. Alone, our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our vision widens, and our strength is renewed. All of us, travelers together, following the shared compass heading for our lives that each of us are trying to figure out on our own, getting together, comparing notes. How is this? How is this for you? Where are you going? What have you seen? Pilgrims, travelers together. Amen. And rise in body or spirit. Let's sing that.
Sometimes I wonder that a day will come that I'll hear Blue Boat Home and it will not make my heart feel like those time-lapse photos of flowers opening. But so far that is not the case, and in fact it's the exact opposite. The more I sing it, the more I love it. And I think it speaks so deeply to who we are. I was born upon the fathoms. So many of us were born to seek and to search. We are the pilgrim souls. You are my ship's companions. And here we are together in this creation, unwieldy though it may be at times. And we choose to be in this place together, seeking and searching. And that's not only okay, it's welcomed and celebrated. So please join in singing Blue Boat Home.
That song always brings me to tears. I love it. In August, our offering goes to support the activities and the mission of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. I invite you to give as generously as you are able. For those online, you can use the QR code or find a link in the video description. For those gathered in person, you can scan the QR code or make a donation as the ushers now pass the baskets. May our gifts be used to enact justice, bringing peace and love to the Boulder community.
A journey can be a sacred thing, each of our journeys. Make sure as you go to bless your going forth so that the compass of your soul might direct you toward the territories of spirit where you discover more of your hidden life and the urgencies that deserve to claim you. Go in peace and amen. Let's close together in song, if you'll rise in body and spirit.
Go your way in peace, wander as you may. Blessed is the path you take, may love guide you on your way. Go your way in peace, wander as you may. Blessed is the path you take, may love guide you